Hey there, welcome to Home Field Kitchen, where we are taking food from your home stadium and trying to recreate it here in my kitchen. Today, we are going to be working on something very specific. This was with permission from DC Bucket List. Thank you very much, DC. I'm just going to call you DC for short. And it is from Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs. And what we will be doing is the famous Chicago dog. Before we actually get into cooking the Chicago dog, let's take a quick look at the Chicago Cubs and Wrigley Field. Okay, I'll admit, this one hurts a little bit that we're doing the Cubs before we get to my White Sox, but let's go ahead and chat about the Cubs. Now, frankly, I think this is one of the best-known franchises worldwide. They seem to have a super wide audience all over. They were founded in 1870 as the Chicago White Stockings, and they are currently the oldest professional sports team in the U.S. Now, there were teams founded before the Cubs were founded, but they have all since gone under, so that makes them the oldest one around. And in 1876, they became a charter member of the National League. And shortly after the turn of the century, they became known as who they are today, the Chicago Cubs. Soon after the rebrand, you would have to say that was the Cubs' peak era. Between 1906 and 1910, the Cubs appeared in 4 World Series in those 5 years, winning 2 of them. They won the titles in 1907 and 1908. Now, the 1906 team, even though they did not win the World Series, they set a Major League Baseball record for most wins in a season at 116. That number has since been tied by the Seattle Mariners, but the Cubs did it in 154 games versus 162 for the Mariners. So to this day, the Cubs have the highest winning percentage in a season in Major League Baseball history. After that 1910 stretch, the next 106 years, they struggled. They only made it back to the World Series 6 times, losing every single time. Now, a lot of people think that one reason is the curse of the Billy Goat. And for me, that's one of the great stories out there in sports lore. Supposedly, a tavern owner by the name of William Sianis, sorry Sianis family if that was butchered, but supposedly he cursed the team that they would never win a World Series again. And this happened at the 1945 World Series, where in Game 4, again, the Cubs lost that one, but Game 4, William Sianis and his goat were asked to leave Wrigley Field. And not only did they never win another World Series, they never made it back to the World Series until finally in 2016, long-suffering Cubs fans worldwide had everything lifted when they defeated the Cleveland Indians in 7 games to win the 2016 World Series, and the curse was broken. So that's a little bit of Cubs history, but let's also chat about Wrigley Field, because that's got some serious history too. Wrigley has been the home of the Chicago Cubs since 1916, and it is one of the very storied parks in Major League Baseball, and probably all of sports. It sits on the north side of Chicago and is very famous for the ivy-covered walls in the outfield. Now, also of note is they were the last Major League Baseball stadium to install lights. In 1988, they installed lights so they could hold night games for the first time ever. Wrigley has been the home to many, many great Chicago Cubs. A couple of them, Ernie Banks, who's affectionately known as Mr. Cub, Ryne Sandberg's a sharp fielding second baseman, Ferguson Jenkins, Cy Young Award winner, multi-time All-Star, and also a famous double play trio, Tinkers, Evers, and Chance, who were immortalized in a 1910 poem by Franklin Pierce Adams, who was lamenting the trio squelching a late inning rally by the New York Giants. Now, also of note is a broadcaster who finished his career as the Chicago Cubs play-by-play person. Probably heard the name, Harry Carey. He spent his last 15 years being the play-by-play announcer at Wrigley and is also famous for singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the 7th inning stretch. Okay, but enough about the Chicago Cubs and the friendly confines of Wrigley Field, because I think what you're really here for is the food. So let's take a look at what we got from DC Bucket Lister. So this is the photo, and it looks to be a very traditional Chicago dog. I'll start with what to me is missing, and from what a lot of people say, is the poppy seeds on the bun. Apparently it's served with traditionally a poppy seed roll, and that's not there. But everything else is there from actually I'll have to trust that is an all beef hot dog, but that's clearly there. And then the other big things that signify it as a Chicago dog, for me most prominently, is that bright green relish on the dog. There's also mustard, no ketchup, that's a no-no, some chopped onions, a tomato slice, and a pickle spear. You can all see that in the photo. What you don't see in the photo, which according to DC is in there somewhere, and again, very signature item to a Chicago dog, are what are called sport peppers. And those are a pickled pepper, seems to be pretty unique to the Chicago area. Here's what we're doing. And I already know I'm going to take heat for this because it will not be truly a Chicago dog, but we're limited to what's available. And so we're going to get as close as we can to a Chicago dog. We're going to start. Sorry, I can't get Vienna beef franks here, so we went with a local brand. They are all beef. They have a nice casing to it, and that's what's going to have to work. We do have our white onions, which we'll chop up. Tomatoes we're going to slice. Celery salt. I neglected to mention celery salt. That's going to be on there. And obviously, you couldn't see that in the photo. Pickle spears. We went with sliced pickles instead of a true spear, just out of getting some room in there. And the next one, sweet relish. Well, believe it or not, they don't make a neon green sweet relish here. And so did a little bit of research and found out that the color comes from blue food coloring added to the relish. We're going to try it. No promises, no clue what we're getting with that, but we're going to try it. We'll keep some of the regular relish just in case. Buns, as I mentioned, can't find poppy seed buns, so we're going to make those. We have our buns and poppy seeds. And last, the thing you couldn't see in the photo, sport peppers. Again, we have no sport peppers here. A little bit of research says Serrano were close. So I went ahead and bought Serrano peppers that we were going to use. But as luck would have it, our friend and neighbor, Cece, said she had sport peppers. So we actually have Chicago-style, legitimate sport peppers for our Chicago dog. Now that we've reviewed everything that is going into this Chicago dog, Not a lot of cooking to this, but it's mostly going to be piecing it together. There are a few things we have to do, so we're going to get started on that right now. Did the chopping, got the tomatoes cut, the onions chopped, and the last thing I want to do before we get to the buns and the dogs themselves is this whole relish thing. I'm going to admit I'm dubious on this, but we're going to give it a go because that's what the internet says. So we'll put some relish in here. I have no idea. It's sweet relish. No idea on amount of blue food coloring that much relish takes. Okay, we're going to go light though. We're going to just put a little bit in. This is a gel food coloring. Wow, that's blue. Okay. And well, maybe too blue, but it's definitely neon-y. But I don't know that it's a green neon. So what I'm going to do instead is we'll add a little more relish. And if that doesn't work, I have a backup plan. Because what I was told makes the green is the turmeric in the relish. Well, my relish doesn't have turmeric. I didn't want to buy more relish, so I have the backup plan, turmeric. Put some of that in there. See how this goes. It's definitely getting greener. In spots. Let's go a little more. I hope it doesn't change the flavor too much, but if it's turmeric in the relish, well, that's definitely green. I'll say the blue's gone. Not the most appetizing in my opinion, but we're going with it. I think that's my green relish. If you compare it to this, that way, definitely more neon. Okay, I'm gonna say we got that done. Now we'll get to doing the buns with the poppy seeds, and then we'll get to the sausages themselves. Now that the green relish is done, we're moving on to the buns. Melted just a little bit of unsalted butter that I'm going to brush on top of the bun, sprinkle with poppy seeds, and toast it. There were a couple of ways that I saw how best to do this. One was an egg wash, which I did consider because I was a little bit worried about the way the butter would hold and if it would really hold on to the poppy seeds. But in the end, I opted for the butter, and we're going to put these on there, get all 4 of these done, and away we go. Now, got it all buttered, and we're just going to sprinkle some poppy seeds on. Not sure how heavily I want to go because I definitely want the poppy seeds in there. They seem to be sticking. Now that we have that done, we're going to pop it in the oven, watch it closely. I definitely don't want them to get too browned. And then when they're done, we'll just pull them out, let them sit while we do the dogs. The buns are done. I think they came out well. The seeds seem to have stuck really, really good. That was my biggest concern, so I'm going to push this out of the way. I have water boiling on the stove because we're going to steam the dogs. And then once those are done, everything else is prepped. We're ready to go. Now it's time to steam these hot dogs. And now we're ready for the final step. Dogs are steamed. They look good. The casing you can see I think is going to be nice and crisp for a snap. Buns held together. We got all the toppings here, and now it is just a matter of putting this thing together like we have on the picture. So time out. Need to do one thing. I forgot the mustard. Very important. You need mustard on that because that's even going to be our first stop, is with the mustard on the bun. Okay, so that's going to spread it. Make sure my picture stays alive so I can see what I'm doing, or supposed to be doing. Whoa! Okay, let's try to get some of that back in the jar. A little bit of mustard on there, that's okay, that's nice. So there's our mustard, hanging over the edge a little bit. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the dog in, and that's going to be then the base of what we have going. Let's put that in there. And we're going to go with the pickle on the back side of it next, because the pickle sits on the back in that photo. And let's put I want the peppers seen a little bit, even though they weren't seen in the photo. I'm going to put the tomato up front. They only have, it looks like there's only one slice of tomato in the photo, but I'm going to put 2 in there just to cover the entire bun. That's that. And I'm going to go peppers next. We'll line them right on top of the tomato. There's the peppers. Sprinkle the onions on towards the end. I'm going to put that over top. Next comes our nice green relish. I'm going to lay that right on top of the dog. There we go. Sprinkle a little onion on there. Drop some onion. They didn't do a very good job of spreading the onion around, so I'm going to try and do a little bit better than that. And then last, to top it all off, sprinkle with some celery salt. A little happy. And there is our version of the Chicago dog. Now that we have it all put together, let's take a second and compare. We have Wrigley Field on the left, probably pointed the wrong way. Wrigley Field on the left and Home Field Kitchen on the right. If you look at them, they both look kind of messy. There's no two ways about it. The presentation of the one we put together looks a little bit neater, but trust me, it did not eat very well. Well, taste was good. Taste was good. But the poppy seeds, man, oh, live, they made a mess. I think having the poppy seeds baked into the bun would way improve that as far as the toppings go. I don't know that there's any way you can do it, and I would probably much prefer to eat it at a ballpark as opposed to at the dining room table. But regardless, it was a good dog. We got the W from Cece on her. She was part of the taste test group, so we have the Wrigley Field win flag flying behind us there, and overall it was good. So I hope you enjoyed it. Again, we did the Chicago dog from Wrigley Field in Chicago, home of the Chicago Cubs, courtesy of DC Bucket List. And thank you again, DC. It was awesome for you to let us do that. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. Come back, watch us again when we get our next video posted. If you have it, this is mainly to you, White Sox fans. You have a photo of your stadium's food. drop it to us, get it to us somehow, and we will do our best to get you on the air and see if we can recreate what you have. Thanks again to all of our technical staff, editors, music, all of that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.